the Men's Couch, a show about men's mental health. I'm Alex Hennon.
Angie.
Miller.
Lucas.
Micah.
And today is the day, guys. This is the finale. Not the finale,
Season finale.
That's correct. Season finale of Men's Couch. This is honestly a huge accomplishment. That the fact that we've been going for this long, and we'll be still going next year. Just right now, this will be the last episode for us as of right now, because we'll be going this summer.
Season 2?
Of season 2, yep. And we'll be season 3 around September. So, yeah.
September.
So, yeah. And before anything, don't forget to check us out on Instagram at Men's Couch. And Micah, can you take it away, sir? He does not have a microphone right now, but he'll get one.
Hello. So today we ended one of our podcast episodes with a question: what is masculinity? And Angie cooked that day.
Yeah.
She always cooks.
It was like the last 5 minutes of the podcast, and that question
and
was asked.
we kind of were left on a cliffhanger. So now we're trying to just open that topic up and just see where we go and what everyone's perspective on masculinity is. Because I don't think there's like one definition. I think just many. What?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Okay.
Great start.
I'll gladly start the conversation if needed. I can yap on quite a bit. But yeah, masculinity is quite a term, because the original concept of masculinity is sort of this idea of tough and takes care of others, big muscles, doesn't show a whole lot of emotion, just like your action hero is kind of the masculinity sort of takes care of others, leader of the household. That is kind of what I perceive as the traditional approach to masculinity. But I feel like the real question today is, how do we redefine that in our we're in a new time right now. That's sort of, that idea is a little outdated. So how do we define that in our own terms? How does that translate into today?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very good point.
So yeah, I think that's the problem, is that our notion of masculinity is outdated, and I think it doesn't fit in the 21st century context. And I think we're starting to see now some of the harmful effects of those like traditional like masculine norms. Now that's not to say like everything about traditional masculinity is bad, but there are aspects of it that can't align with our modern context.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was easy in earlier times to kind of equate the workload of male and female, but now when both genders are working, and then both genders come home after a long day of work, and it's like, well, you're the woman, like, do the cooking, do the dishes, all that stuff, and it's like, well,
it's like, where's the balance?
yeah, where's the equal? I like to just use, in the Bible it says like equal yokes, so like equal burdens.
It's like equity then.
Yeah, and so it's like, why is that still a thing? Like, how can the man and the woman not come together and make dinner or do the dishes together and just have like a equal burden the whole time? It just, I don't know.
I think we're slowly getting there,
Mm-hmm.
because I think we are seeing that more nowadays, but we're still not seeing it enough. I don't think, either. What do you guys think?
I think our modern like society kind of and like industrialization has like forced. Oh, I guess post-industrialization now. So we kind of like forced to adopt a new form of masculinity, because women, fortunately, they're able to have more opportunities now, and the roles are kind of like there's no like the 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 roles like from back then. It's not like how it is now, because like you said, women are in the workforce, and men. I think the one of the issues is okay. Women have changed, but men haven't like adopted to that change, and we're still like men might be still living in the mindset of the I guess like the 1950s or whatever, and it's like it's not the 1950s, but um, and I think that can cause problems.
If I may steal away the microphone. Yeah, for listeners' context, yeah, Micah and I are sharing a microphone, so like we keep
Yeah.
shifting it back and forth.
We've always had that issue whenever there's like more than 4 people.
Yeah, that makes sense. But
Yeah.
the bigger the group, the better.
Yeah, exactly.
That's interesting you put it that way, because like back then, we still sort of hold this in a lot of our minds that there is this ideal man, and so I agree that a lot of guys are kind of stuck in the past. But I feel like if we're trying to redefine masculinity, we want to take sort of the main essence of what it was originally is what is ideal for a man to be, and sort of translate that into now, like what is it ideal for a man to be today. It isn't this domineering, emotionless, stoic. Today we sort of like, what do we see as an ideal trait in a man today? Like for me, ideally, what I would strive to be is someone who's very self-aware, someone who's very astute, someone who understands, is able to talk about emotions, has emotional intelligence, as well as being able to just self-assess, like admitting your own mistakes, being progress instead of stagnation, working forward instead of stuck in the past. I believe that's all sort of in the mindset, and it's less of be this way like we used to be, but more so just an ideal attitude that helps you treat others around you well, and just go about life in a way that's ideal for yourself and others.
So would you say that like masculinity is subjective to each man, or is there like a specific new ideal of what a man is now?
That is a very interesting
That's a good
question.
question.
Yeah, that's a thought-provoking one. Like, is it? Because I feel like there's always an issue of is there an objective concept, or is it different to everyone else? I mean, in my mind, I just that's kind of a difficult question. Does anyone else want to go first?
Well, I feel like it might
ancient
be because
philosopher.
of. I think it depends on the person, because it depends on how you were raised.
Okay.
Depends on how you grew up to be. Like especially with like the men around you, and you look up to them. Some people are like, oh, I want to be like them, or I have to be like that.
Yeah, you're getting somewhere there. I think that the way we define it is sort of people we look up to.
Mm-hmm.
So who do we look at? Do we look up to the people who our parents, who may or may not have been stuck in that old ideal, or are we looking up to sort of people we admire now who are more in modern times, like teachers, influencers, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point.
Two.
Micah turns over to the mic.
So okay, I've had to deal with my view of masculinity, because for like the longest time I didn't feel masculine enough, because I had this like this ideal that I thought masculinity was being like the toughest, the strongest, and all those things. But I'm not all those things. I'm a sensitive person, and I like musicals, and I like all that stuff, and it's not like typically associated with masculinity. And I like to. Well, I don't know about gardening. Yeah, I like to garden, but it's not typically like associated with that. And I think for me, it's been, well, that's how I express my masculinity, whether it be just caring for friends or gardening or whatever. That's how I express it. And I think I think men don't feel man enough because we have a narrow definition of masculinity, and it needs to be more. I wouldn't say broad, but more just
More realistic.
realistic to who that individual is. Like Miller's like masculinity is doing like the Tuesday speeches. That's how you that's how you like you're showing like you express your love for people, and that's masculinity. That's what I see as masculinity. It doesn't have to be just work or whatever. It doesn't have to be that.
It's tough for me because, like, I do view masculinity as like still like being strong as well, but I feel like going to the gym is just like a very, like, both genders should strive to better their physical acumen and just get into the gym. It helps relieve stress, and so it's not like it's just like a masculine thing. I just feel like it should be a thing that humans do to better themselves. But I know that has a lot of, like, guys get into the gym and then they're like, oh, I'm not big enough, like I'm not strong enough, I'm not a man enough. And it's just
we
like,
never talk about men's body image, but that could be like for next season.
yeah, that men's body image is
Season 3 preview?
A little hint.
Question mark?
Yeah. A little leak.
yeah, a little lead.
Because I think so yeah, you mentioned a good point because I guess that's like people would feel like they're not man enough for not like having like a certain body image, or just that they don't feel strong enough, but it's too narrow for everyone to apply to. So
If I may. Yeah, I find the gym concept interesting. That could be a whole episode in itself. But I don't know, I think something we keep running into here is that, we're talking about what's ideal in masculinity, and it's like, big and strong, go to the gym, but, everyone should do that. Is there really a use in defining masculinity as a concept? Because we keep talking about, do we want to be masculine, or do we want to just have things that are ideal for, like, people to people that there's some pictures happening, had to pose, but like, do we have an idea of masculinity in our heads, or do we just have an idea of what is ideal for people to be?
It's in my mind now, I'm thinking of it, it's like masculinity is what I think like would get me a mate, like a girlfriend or like a significant other. And so I think like women want to see me as this big, strong, like buff guy, but really like we're just looking for love here, and there will be someone who loves you for you. So it's like, why define masculinity when there will be someone that finds you plenty masculine enough and plenty strong enough, and they'll love that you go to the theater, and they'll love that, or if you like to go to the gym, they'll love that. And it's just like we start comparing ourselves to other people and what other people want, when we just need to focus on ourselves and what makes us happy, and then that will attract someone who will
that's aligned with you.
Exactly, aligned with you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's super. Yeah, because that makes me think how you were talking about, get big and strong to, get a mate. But like that brings us back to the original ideas of what sex and gender is are, sort of animalistic almost. you want to be biggest, strongest male to get the
Right.
mate
Yeah.
to
The alpha.
reproduce. You gotta want to be
Yep.
the alpha male.
Yeah.
But and like that's that's a thing that exists in nature, and it's kind of hard to get out of our heads.
Mm.
Well, it's it's like in instincts kind of, because
Competitive
yeah.
competition.
And like, but we don't have to worry about that now because we're developing. We're past that. We don't need to worry about being the strongest man. We just we have to worry. Just have to worry about who we are. And so I feel like masculinity. It's just sort of this fabricated concept that we have of what is ideal for this social construct. Man, yeah, it's just a lot to talk about in that regard. I have to reflect my thoughts there.
Yeah, dang.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like we like look at animals to define our masculinity when we just need to look inside to what we want to be as a person. Like it doesn't matter male or female. Like it's just what makes you happy, and how can you live that out. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
We are. I like this. I like this.
So
Yippee.
yeah, so masculinity for me is this podcast. We're coming here, we're talking about things, and we're even though it can be like the topics can be uncomfortable sometimes, we're able to talk about that and develop closer relationships with each other. And I think doing the podcast for like this past year has made me realize that this is what masculinity is not living up to like the standard, but it's being mindful of the connections you have and the people around you, and it also is helping me change. Like this podcast change me as a person. So
Yeah.
So is masculinity just being a good person? Like, is that what we should be? It's like, I feel like, if are we still trying to define masculinity, but like, we keep thinking like it's just this ideal thing. Do we just want to be, is the ideal thing for a guy to be just a good, intelligent guy who knows how to deal with emotions and is nice to other people? Or is it more complicated?
Yeah. And I think masculinity is like how you will attract a person who you can walk together with and better yourself with that person. Like when you were saying like masculinity is like me just being astute and, impacting others, having passion and love and just being emotional. Like that's everything I want in a partner as well. And once I find that person, it'll be like we can just work together to become just better as a unit. And it's like that's what being masculine is, no matter how you want to define it.
Mm-hmm.
Angie?
I'm
Hello.
listening. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I'm like, processing.
Processing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think while I've been listening in the shadows over here.
Oh my gosh. You know what's funny about you?
What's up?
Is that because people not like your friends kind of like Anya and sometimes like your other friends, they kind of like make fun of you because you're not like this stereotypical guy. Not and
What
like
does
I'm not
that
trying
What?
to, I'm not trying to
mean?
like okay, hear me out.
Okay.
Like I know, like I think you know
I know.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know
But
what
like
you mean.
they do it because I think they're acknowledging that you are not you're able to live that way and you're like confident in that. That's what I mean. Not that it's like bad, but like they like it's a guy in the musicals or whatever. But you're confident like in who you are. So I think that's also masculine. It's like being confident in who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like
definitely. But basically, after like hearing all you guys, I think masculinity is way more diverse. 'Cause like you said,
Mm-hmm.
going to the gym, working out to like find a mate, right? that's one way of doing it. And then Micah, he plants, he gardens.
Yeah.
That's another way.
Right.
So I feel like in society,
And my huge thing is, well, this and just like mental health
yeah, mental
and,
health,
and friendship.
exactly.
Yeah.
But like I feel like in society, like when you say that word masculinity,
Masculinity.
I don't know why I butchered that so hard. When you say that word, it's kind of negative now, in a way.
Yeah.
I
Like
think-
toxic masculinity.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
there's usually like most of the time when you say that word, toxic is usually before that,
Yeah.
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 and it's kind of messed up. But overall, masculinity. I don't know why I can't say it now.
Q.
Masculinity.
Yes.
Masculinity. Masculinity. There we go.
Masculinity.
Masculinity. Okay. Yeah, I just think overall, it's just who you kind of want, who you really want to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what that word is.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and for a while I didn't know how to be okay with that because I think for me I'm not like this stereotypical, like when you think of, I keep kind of saying this, but I'm not like the stereotypical guy that you think of. If that makes sense.
I mean, yeah.
If that makes sense, I don't know.
With the outdated definition.
Well,
of
yeah,
it.
with like the
Yeah, outdated. Yeah.
yeah, like that, because you'll never hear me like I'm not. My dad's into sports. I could care less about sports, so
Yeah.
I'm not like, it's just not like the typical thing for me. And I kind of had to like come to like an acceptance of who I am and my unique gifts that I have.
Mhm.
They're not like what is good enough for traditional masculinity, but they're good enough within themselves. So I don't have to like live. I can live. I think we need an authentic masculinity.
You don't have to
Yeah.
fit yourself
Yes.
into a box.
Yeah, I don't have
Yes.
to put myself into it.
But and also it's tough when our leaders, like our male leaders, just seem like so like, hello my fellow Americans.
Oh my gosh.
And they're just like
Yeah.
they got this like deep just like
Like,
awesome
yeah.
sounding voice, and it's like,
Oh my gosh,
I
I
don't
did
like-
Even
that.
that is like faked.
right?
It's
Yeah.
like faked.
Right?
When
There's no
when
way.
I through like middle and high school, I would like purposely lower my voice to sound more
Yeah.
masculine. I don't know if anyone else did that, but
Oh, okay. I mean, you've all talked to me. Have you noticed how my voice can go drastically high
Yeah.
or low?
because
My family kind of makes fun of me of that all the time, of my voice going very high, because I do that when I get excited
Yeah.
or nervous. But then when I notice it, I go down here.
Yeah.
And then whoever I'm talking to is like, what the what?
yeah. So I think
Yeah.
there's a problem when you're like kind of manipulating yourself to fit that box, and that's like not actually you, and it's like you're trying to do that to fit everyone else's image version of masculinity, but that's not actually who you are. It's like if you didn't write poetry because you're just like, oh, this isn't like,
Yeah, this is
weird or whatever. It's like if you didn't do that, but there's like so many benefits of it, and you get to help other people, and so just like so much stuff to go with it. So
yeah.
Right. Whenever there's awkward silence, it's my time to shine.
Embrace it.
Take it away.
Yeah. All right. So, what track are we on right now? We've made a lot of progress.
Yeah.
We've come to circle. Originally we were talking about masculinity as this typical concept, and now we've made our way up to do we really need to define masculinity? How do we update it? How how are we categorizing it? But yeah, it's like masculinity, like we said, is traditionally this box, and if we want to be true to ourselves, we gotta open it a little. think outside of it. Like, what was it that Micah said? Authentic masculinity.
Yeah.
You know, we got to
Mm.
put another word aside besides toxic in front of it.
Yeah.
Because just being true to yourself. Because true to yourself, I feel like that might be I was looking for a term to describe like sort of the overall, what makes someone ideal. Just being true to yourself.
It's like a character thing.
Yeah.
Character thing. Because we were all talking about different ideas of it. For me, a humongous, just part of, I feel like what makes masculinity in an ideal sense, in a positive sense, and just as just being a trait to have, to be a good person. I feel like one of my biggest traits that I strive for is persistent, or not persistence, like perseverance.
Oh, okay.
I like, because at RMU I do the silly little thing where I post like Snapchat stories every day.
Yeah.
And people like recognize me.
Wait. That is you. Wait.
No, people don't recognize me unless they're like.
No,
Why
I
did
love
I not
this.
put 2 and 2 together? That was you this whole time.
Yeah.
Dude, that's so funny that you didn't know
I
that.
didn't know that.
That's funny.
Those I love those posts. Those
I
are
do
great.
too.
Dang.
I was like, yo, this is great.
I don't know why I didn't put 2 together until just now.
For being someone, getting to know someone.
No, for real. You
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
you inspired me to just send it Tuesdays and just do that, like speaking in front of the calf. That is-
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, that's like, that enforced my point. Like, I just started doing that because, I started doing that because I was feeling really down, and I was like, keep myself accountable for having a good attitude, and just put it out there, and it could help other people. Like, at first I was like, people are gonna make fun of me for this. But I've had like a grand total of maybe 2 people make fun of me for this, and like many, many, many more say very positive things to me. And I feel like, persistence, it goes back to that, just being a
Character.
keep going, like be a good person, and it helps out others. Like, I didn't expect people to like me for doing that, and it worked out. So yeah.
So, how do we become confident in who we are?
Oh, I know.
Oh, Mike has a
Oh
raised
my
hand.
god,
Oh
I
my
think Micah
gosh.
just might know.
Oh my gosh. I don't know why I get so excited. Stop comparing yourself.
That's the biggest thing, I think.
So
Be able to address things.
Yeah.
yeah,
Acknowledge. who
being
you are.
able to just be okay with. So I feel like one of the pressures of men is to have put up this
A wall.
this
Yes.
wall, this front facade, and being
Mask.
okay. Mask. Oh my
Mask.
gosh. And being okay
Whoa.
with just being okay with being expressive.
Yeah.
I think that's what I struggle with. Even though I'm like a sensitive person, I struggle with being expressive because I feel like it's just, I feel like people would reject it because oh, that's a guy. You can't be that way. But being confident is learning to be expressive. Well, for me, and accepting your unique traits. That even though they don't align with the traditional masculinity, being able to accept that, acceptance is a huge key, confidence, and get to know your traits, get to know what they are.
Yes.
That's leads to confidence.
Yeah, for me, getting to know what you actually enjoy doing.
Yeah.
Because for me, at least, I was a soccer player my whole life, and then I stopped playing soccer, and I was like, well, what do I even enjoy doing? What do I want to do? What person do I want to be?
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people get so stuck in like
Title.
and just like putting on like a facade for other people
Yeah.
that they totally forget who they are
Yeah.
and what they're good at and what makes them happy.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's cool to just like experiment. For
Yeah.
me,
Different thing.
I really enjoy being good at things. So when I start something,
What's your
Good
favorite
shit,
hobby?
yeah.
Being good
yeah,
at stuff.
right? Like it was always soccer because I just played it my whole life, and eventually I got good at it because I put so much time into it. But now it's like, wow, like I was really just good at soccer, and that was what I
Right.
did. And now it's like, oh man, I gotta put in some time and effort and hard work to actually get good at something. But it's like, okay, I'm only 21. I can just pick anything my heart desires. Like, what do I like doing? What brings me joy? And then it's just like, cool, send it.
Being vulnerable is being masculine.
Mm.
Because when you, and I don't know if you want me to say this. Okay, so when you talked about like your background, like at
Mhm.
at the bonfire, I was like, that's really strong. That's like that's like good, and because that like gets other people involved and engaged, and it makes them feel less alone with their like battles that they're going through. So being able to just
Be the
be vulnerable.
first. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for real, vulnerability is such a powerful thing.
And it's kind of like a weight off your chest.
Yeah.
A little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you finally like reveal something or talk to someone about
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, okay, got it.
And like,
Yeah.
I cannot imagine you being vulnerable, like in like a no, just
Oh.
like anyone being vulnerable, and then just getting torn down or like made fun of for being
Yeah.
vulnerable.
Oh,
That's
like
terrible.
no!
it's just
I think-
like
I mean, I think for me, I think I've experienced that like in middle school and high school because there wasn't the right context
yeah,
to do that because they weren't, the people around you aren't able to give you space.
mm,
And like when you do it like in like the right settings, then it's like it's so beneficial.
mm-hmm. Yeah. There's always that'll come with more knowledge, like when to be vulnerable, who to be
Yeah.
vulnerable with.
Yeah.
But I mean, being vulnerable, it'll never be a bad thing because at
Yeah.
least you'll know, well, these people aren't who I want to be around if they're going to not appreciate
Mhm.
your vulnerability.
Yeah,
Yeah.
certainly.
And there's a lot of people in this world, so all right, see you
Yeah.
later.
Bye-bye.
Move on to the next.
I have 7 other billion people.
Yeah,
Seven
exactly.
billion people. 8 billion people? I think it's 8
It's
billion.
billion.
Exactly.
B. But B.
Big billion.
Yes.
Yeah.
7 billion in the
8
world?
billion.
That's
8
8
now.
billion.
There's 8 now?
There's
Okay.
8 billion people in this
Okay.
world,
Whoa.
People are getting bit. No, sorry.
So
and 3 billion of them are in 2 countries.
Dang. Here?
Wow.
No,
like, I think China,
India and China.
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah, I think just like overall, now that I'm kind of do like just overall, I think the podcast has taught me how this is how I can express my masculinity because I can be honest and it's something that a platform that I can use to talk about mental health and advocate for it. And part of mental health is having, I guess, a healthy idea of what masculinity is. Because if you don't, then that means I feel like if you don't have like a good sense of like, I guess, of masculine identity or like feeling good enough within that, then you're not going to like you can't be vulnerable. You can't do all that stuff because your idea of masculinity is that you're kind of just closed off, and if and you can't you don't like reap the mental health benefits of that.
Definitely. Yeah. And I mean, we really have to be the generation to kind of flip this notion.
Yes. Yes. Certainly.
because our fathers were certainly not thinking about men's mental health.
Absolutely
Now
not.
they weren't. They weren't writing.
Yeah,
it, be like,
they were.
You know what?
Yeah, they were like, "Wait, what is masculinity?" Like,
Hmm.
I don't think
Was that word? Was that word even a thing?
Right?
I don't know.
I don't think it was.
Yeah. Well, overall, even the word mask. Good.
Unity.
in
There's a
masculinity-
mask.
Mask.
See that? Mask.
Wait, I did. Oh, wait, I did know that. Right.
Masculinity.
I think that word
It's a lie.
has kind of inspired this whole podcast in a way. It's one of the most important words to this podcast, I think. That's kind of how this all started
Yeah. Yeah.
in a way. Because there's a lot of impact with that word, no matter where
Yeah.
you are or who you are, even who you are.
Right.
Yeah. And I think like what we're trying to do is trying to make it not the toxic like masculine, because I kind of like hear that being thrown around a little bit, and I think that's kind of what we want this podcast to be, is that we're not here to like we're not here to like put down masculinity, but we're here to address like some of the problems that we see, and how as a generation now we can make that better.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's time to rise up.
Rise up. Let's go.
It's time to rise up.
And I feel like I'll just like clarify some of the things I said, because like I was thinking about how like it kind of in my head it sounded like I was saying that masculinity is only to like attract a mate.
No, yeah, I know
And,
that. Yeah,
like-
we know what, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
we
we
got
But,
you.
Yeah,
Like,
I
maybe
mean,
just like so maybe like in your own personal like journey, that's like what that is. for
yeah,
you,
but like masculinity is just about like loving yourself
yeah.
as you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah,
It starts
And then
there.
once you love yourself more, like the people who like actually will love you because you are who you want to be
Mm-hmm.
will come to you.
Yeah.
that was a better way of saying it
Yeah.
than what I said.
Yeah.
But yeah, who you want to be, right? Who you are, people will love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
a nice knuckle crack.
I mean, you
Yeah.
can't you can't give something you don't have for yourself.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
you can't love
Yeah.
someone if you don't love yourself.
Yep.
For me, a huge thing is friendship.
Yes.
Friendship.
Yeah.
That's a
Like
huge-
not even like a significant other, just like friends.
friends.
Genuine
Friends.
connections.
Just
All
genuine
y'all.
Connections.
All y'all. Yeah.
Y'all.
Y'all,
Yeah.
this ain't
But-
Texas.
Hey, hold up.
But yeah, that's
Please
like
don't
for
sue
me,
us.
like in my in my personal journey, where that like some people it might be like marriage or whatever, but for me it's just been friendship, just showing like my presence and friendship and being present and wanting to write a book about that. But
Oh.
Oh, drop the book.
I guess
what-
cooking.
Author
So-
Micah.
It's
go.
been, I think, like for me, because it's something that I realize that men kind of can struggle with sometimes. And I think it's good to admit that. It's good to see the struggle, because I think we all think that everyone has their friendships figured out, but we're just we're just figuring it. We're just figuring out, and part of masculinity is applying like the concepts of vulnerability, like kindness, and I forgot what yours was, but yeah, the applying those aspects. Oh yeah, you said like being true to yourself. So applying those concepts to friendship can help me in helping it, making it stronger. Yeah.
Yeah.
May I say something?
Yeah.
My turn. Because yes, we've come on quite a journey here today. But like when,
It's been a long day.
but yeah, it's like I think a lot of things connect. Like while I was listening, I think a lot of things come back to. Let's see about that being true to yourself and the authenticity, because when you're trying to conform to a box, when you're trying to conform to your masculinity,
See what we did there? Mask.
yeah,
Ba-dum.
wink, wink, ba-dum-tsh. when you're not being authentic. And then it goes back to what you were. I'm sorry, I don't know your name actually.
Miller.
Miller, nice. What Miller was talking about when it comes to he doing what you love, because doing what you love and sort of sharing, being true to yourself and your feelings is all sort of one and the same. Like whenever you, whenever you're doing something.
Sounded like it was coming from there.
Whenever you're doing something that you love, you're being the most authentic version of yourself, because whenever you love something so much and you put your all into it, it brings out your true colors and what you can truly accomplish. Because it's kind of like, I'm a writer, and so I love writing, but
We got the writer square.
There's a lot of writers in this room.
yeah,
Yeah,
man,
wow.
writers are good talkers too usually. So. But I'll do an essay. I write a lot, but sometimes when I write an essay, I'm just not feeling it, because I'm not inspired about the subject, and because and I might not do great on it, but whenever it is something I enjoy, I always get the best possible grade, because that's just the everything I've learned kicks in, and then it makes you do better whenever you love what you're doing, and that's the same thing when it comes to being authentic. Whenever you're vulnerable, that is being authentic, and that has the power to move people, because you're showing yourself to others. That's who you are. That's sort of like channeling yourself through what you love. It's channeling yourself through your emotions, and it helps others. So that's what I was thinking about. It all whole kind of wraps up like a nice circle. It all kind of comes back to authenticity, vulnerability, and that kind of thing, being true to yourself.
And love.
And love.
Yeah.
This is love.
I like how you just mentioned love, because for me, I think for me, it was kind of hard at first having you as a roommate, because I was kind of not like in a bad way, but I was like uncomfortable with how you wanted to, like, well, number one, you wanted to be roommates, and like number two, you just like wanted to be friends.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of surprised by that, but I think it's something that love is important, because love can be sometimes hard to accept, and it can also, I think, oh my gosh, wow, it's like kind of like a cliffhanger thing, because love for me is it's not just like I said before, it's not just like romantic relationships, but also like you guys, it's or it could just be like the love of like yourself, and like the love of just like life in general. And I think that's I think when you say love, I think sometimes it's associated with like women are more like, I don't know how to like word this, but it's like
Angie in the back, like
you guys are like you're more like women
Emotional?
are, like
Okay.
nurturing,
That's-
and like are like you're more about love than men. Like men are just like, oh, like
There's-
kind of like emotionally like.
That's interesting,
distant.
because in psychology we've learned about, it's a theory. Most things are theory in psychology.
Yeah.
It's like a theory about how females tend to be more in tune with their emotions. So it's like it's a theory,
Yeah.
and how they're more like on the emotional intelligence side, versus males have a method of being more like logical, which is it's a theory too. So I think that's also like damaging too, because it's a stereotype of
My theory
What?
is that, so my theory about that is that I think people look at it based on how like people are socialized. Like men are socialized to be logical, but we're both biologically just
capable.
emotional, like
Yeah,
capable.
Yeah.
capable of being
It-
emotional.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah.
because I feel like when you like look at like boys, they're just as emotional as
Yeah.
girls. So.
Which is why I think a huge part of like probably redefining masculinity is to be okay of having different experiences.
Mhm.
Because when you grow up, regardless of your situation, you kind of base off your idea of masculinity from how you've been raised and what you've been told is masculinity. But once
What
you,
have you been told was?
but
what have you
once,
been told?
no, just like a general.
Yeah, I understand.
But like once you go through certain experiences, you begin to redefine yourself, what that is to you,
Yeah.
Mm.
and what exactly like character traits and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think confronting the beliefs that you had since like childhood of what you were raised to believe about masculinity is important. If you want to like embark on your own like journey with being authentic, I think it's important to just address that so that you know that you don't have to be that way.
Yeah, it's essentially like a everyone has like a coming of age story. Everyone know what that kind of
Mhm.
what that is, right? Yeah, it's basically like that. Like figure out who you are.
Yeah,
You know,
that's what masculinity is.
kind of.
Figuring out who you are.
Yeah.
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 Right.
It's like an ongoing journey, just like this talk.
Exactly.
We don't arrive there.
You don't ever finish talking
Did
about it
anyone
because
arrive?
the process never ends.
Did anyone
Yeah.
arrive at masculinity?
It's like learning. You never stop learning.
Did you arrive? Okay.
Yeah, it's like just like a relationship, which I feel like is the same with love. Like it's just a constant understanding.
Right.
Yeah, that's Oh, okay. So are we like kind of do we think we want to end there?
I guess
and, like,
we-
leave it. I think it's good because we could focus on those on these topics in like future episodes or seasons.
For season 3.
Yeah.
Season
3.
Coming
Oh,
in
wait.
September.
As unfortunate?
No, I can give some concluding remarks as well if you
Yeah.
want.
Yeah.
so.
Go ahead.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff covered today. Yeah, like lots of stuff we could elaborate on further. Like love could also be an interesting thing to explore. But yeah, masculinity, it's an ever-evolving concept, as we have seen today with our many definitions. It's a process, it's a concept, it's a way of, something we have to contemplate, come up with, and, strive towards.
Indeed.
Mhm.
Anyone else have any closing thoughts? Yeah. All right.
Wonderful.
Well,
Take it away.
well, guys, this is the end of season 2. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening throughout this year. We've definitely changed a lot, and honestly, I am so glad I went here to Upper Morris, because I was gonna go to La Roche. Literally 2 weeks. Well, not like getting here, but like there was a 2-week gap where I was like, where the frick am I gonna go? And it was like April or something. Yeah, so
Wow.
it was there. But I'm so glad I went here. So many memories. I've definitely grown as a person, and this podcast has definitely helped me as well. And just meeting you guys and talking to you guys about these certain things has helped me out. And I appreciate you all. Yeah. Also, I can't go over the fact that was still you. It's like a meeting a local celebrity. I didn't even realize it.
We've
I
had
appreciate it.
epiphanies here. We've had
Yeah.
we've had it all. So
Roller coaster today.
So yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. Thank you guys for having me on as well. I know I'm a new addition to the cast.
Of
but
course,
I've,
man.
My second episode, and I've had an amazing time. I hope to continue talking with you guys.
I hope we made it feel like welcoming, like kind of like family-ish.
Yeah.
You certainly have.
Indeed. And Miller, I believe, are you a senior this year?
Yeah, I am.
no.
Yeah. Well, I know you're a senior, but I really hope we'll be able to have you on
Definitely.
again someday.
Definitely. I look forward to it.
Yeah. Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Are you a senior too?
No, I'm a sophomore. I got 2 more years with
Okay,
you
good.
guys.
All right, good. Good. You're stuck here with us. All right, bet. All right, Angie, anything else to say?
I think thank you guys for making this a very welcoming place for everyone, for letting perspectives be heard, and known and welcomed. So thanks for that.
Of course.
Yeah.
And then the
I
man
tried.
himself.
Micah,
Micah.
Blackwell.
What I have to say to the listeners
The one
and,
that started
and
it all.
people, I think this is not finished. We are, we still there's a lot of things that we need to talk about, and just this isn't finished. I want this to use this platform to make people feel less alone and about their journeys and their own where they're at in life. So I just want, that's what I want to do.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe in a few years, you might see a book in your local library
Oh yeah.
that says Micah Blackwell on it
Yeah.
as he's slowly sinking into seat. But no, seriously,
Yeah.
that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we'll see you all in season 3.
Bye.
See you guys.
Hey, don't forget to check us out on Instagram. Okay, bye.